Hello, this is Anna from Madame So. Today we're going to finish our pillow, and all that's left to do is to quilt it. We're going to do some very basic quilting and then make the back and insert the zipper, and I have a really good trick to insert a centered zipper. So let's just do it. Here it is. Just remember that this backing is not the back of your pillow. Okay, this is just a scrap of fabric, just to protect the batting. And then the batting slightly larger. This is about half an inch to an inch in different places. No, I think, yeah, maybe this is the smallest that must be half an inch. And then the backing is again slightly smaller, and once it's quilted we're going to square it off. Okay, now as for my quilting, I am going to just follow these lines here, and I'll probably don't do very dense quilting. I think I'm just gonna go, stitch in the ditch and then right in the middle there. I have my open toe walking foot on, which is very important. And I'm actually, stitching the ditch kind of, it's a little boring. Let's line up. I'm lining up the seam with the inside of my foot. And yeah, that looks like a nice distance. I'm just going to do that. Lengthening my stitch length to a 3. Okay, and I've already loosened my tension here. And this machine is old. You have to, sort of be conscious when you get to the corners. That's quite a bit of bulk that the foot needs to go over. Okay, and the walking foot helps, but just be conscious of it and kind of give it a little push. I veered off course there a little bit. I'm just gonna walk off here. That's a really nicely quilted line. See how simple that was? And sure enough, I did veer off a little bit when I got to that corner at the very end here. But I've told you before, if you expect perfection when quilting, you're in for some serious disappointment. All right, so I think now, am I going to use the width of my foot? I don't know if that's enough. Let's see. Something to consider when you're quilting is the size of your piece. This is a fairly small thing, so if your lines are too far apart, it's going to look a little empty. But I also don't want to do the work of, quilting them too close together. So what I'm thinking, let's see, what if I move my needle all the way to the end? I think that's good. That's a simple solution. So now I'm lining up my foot, the edge of my foot, the outside edge, with the line that I already quilted, and I'm going to go for the next one. And I actually am starting like right in the middle. I need to move way back here so that I am off. There we go. There we go. Now I'm starting right there. All right. Also, this is my old sewing machine, so I don't have a table for it. On my new one, I have a one of those extension tables that makes it easier. You can have your hands like really pushing down on it. So that also will make it easy. So I've done a few lines covering this first half square triangle, and it just so happens that the width of the of my foot combined with my needle being on the left position, this next line is just gonna mirror this one here pretty closely. It's gonna be, looks like it's gonna be not the same distance, certainly close enough that it's gonna look like it. So they're going to end up being very even. I wasn't counting on that. I just wanted my lines to go all the way across without worrying too much about where they hit the seam, but it's a bonus when they hit it nicely. So all right, so that's really all there is to it. I'm going to continue, you know, all the way across, and then I'll do this other half, and I'll see you when we're ready to prepare the back and insert that zipper. All right, here's the quilted piece, and I ended up doing a little hand quilting there on that. So next step is to trim it. And it should measure, it might be just a little under 16.5 in some spots. So I'm gonna trim it as close to the edge as I possibly can get. Yeah, maybe I'll leave there. I'm actually leaving a little bit of batting in my seam allowance here. Turn it. So we'll do this with all 4 sides. Next thing is to cut our two 16.5 but by 8 3/4 pieces, and this is where the zipper is going to go, right in the middle here. So what we're going to do, and my fabric just doesn't have a right or wrong side. If it did, we would be putting them right sides together. Okay, and we are going to baste a 1/2 inch seam. So we're just going to baste long stitches and loose tension. Okay, we just want to hold it together so we can put the zipper in the middle. All right, I'm overcasting with a simple zigzag stitch, but I am using my overcast foot because it just makes it, see, makes it like flat instead of folding the edge over. So, right. And I am going to do this with the other edges, and then we'll insert our zipper. Now for the basting, and I'm going to baste the whole seam, I'm going to use a 1/2 inch seam allowance, which is the width of the tape of my zipper. I have my stitch length at its longest, which happens to be a 4, and it's a good length. Even if it's not the longest in your machine, it's fine. And I've lowered my tension a little bit. Okay. Normally it would be around 3, and now I have it at 2. So you can see some nice long stitches. All right, let's go iron this open. Here's my seam pressed open, and I've marked 1/4 inch from each edge, since that's where my seam is going to go. Now, just place your zipper with the coils down against the seam allowances. Make sure that the zipper stop here is above your, you could have it as far as that, which is about a 1/2 inch, a little more. I'm gonna get it a little closer since my whole seam is just basted. I want to keep it in a safe spot, and now I'm simply going to use some Scotch tape to temporarily secure the zipper in place. And don't worry about it gumming up your needle. It won't. I promise you, I've done this many times, and it's the easiest way to do it, and it in no way affects your sewing needle or sewing machine. Okay, so by having, this is distorted, by having the seam allowance at a 1/2 inch, which is more or less the width of the zipper, or the zipper tape I should say, it makes it extra easy to center it. But Still, I like to just double check that I'm have it in the right position. Okay. All right. I got dirty from the table. I had it pre-cut there. Okay. So all we're going to do is just don't move. With our zipper foot on, we're just going to go around close to the zipper. But just to make it extra pretty, I like to use some 1/4 inch tape and line it up with the seam. And then I'll just sew on the outside of the tape. This is not essential. It just makes it very even. And you can also, you know, just use your ruler and your gel pen and mark it beforehand, before you place the zipper, so you don't have to deal with that bump. That is also, but I happen to have this 1/4 inch tape and I may as well use it. All right, so let's just bring it to the machine and you're going to see how easy it is. So I've installed my zipper foot. I haven't adjusted it yet. And I am going to start up here. And I'm going to bring my needle down as far as I can. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to move my foot so that it's aligned with my tape. Okay, now I'm going to bring it down. Okay, yeah, that's it. And now I'll secure it in place. Bring it down again just to make sure. Okay, so there we go. Remember, after you do your basting, bring your tension back up and shorten your stitch length. You wouldn't be the first one to baste the zipper in place instead of sewing it. Okay. Now, as always, keep your eye on the edge of the foot. Don't keep it on the needle, okay? Because that's only going to confuse you. Just make sure the edge of the foot is aligned with your tape. Now I'm approaching the end. I can see the 2 marks I made. One is at a 1/4 inch and the other one is just under the zipper stop, just to make sure I go in between them. Now I'm going to pivot. Sew this little bit. And pivot again. And now we're going to come up the other way. Let's see. Okay, pretty good. So now we're going to use the seam ripper to open up the seam. And I'm just going to catch that, and now okay, there we go. And even though it has that ball on the bottom to protect the fabric, be careful. Make sure you're going straight. And a little tape to get those straight threads. Okay. Oh, I forgot to take off the tape in the back. Pretty nice. Okay, so what happens now is that we're going to just do a couple of stitches here to secure that zipper top there. Okay, and then we are simply going to get our top, place it right sides together. Now make sure you leave the zipper half open. because otherwise you won't be able to turn it inside out. When you're making this 1/4 inch seam, avoid that zipper pull, okay? Just be conscious of it. Sew it on this side so you can see what you're doing. All right, so I'm just gonna hand stitch a couple of stitches here to secure this, and then we'll sew it and we will cut this off and we'll be all done, ready to stuff it. I'm excited to see how it looks. All right, let's open it and turn it inside out. You know what I'm gonna do, which is get my chopstick and poke these corners out. There we go. There's your little pillow. Got that zipper. And there it is, a new pillow. Well, here it is. I hope it wasn't too hard and that you've learned a few tricks that you can use in your quilting in the future. As always, any questions, let us know in the comments. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram and Facebook.